welcome to edition 37 of our Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn, and Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we are interested in serial killers, and as long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
Episode 37. Yeah. Here it is.
Me stumbling over the disclaimer how many times have I said that?
I know, and I was sort of laughing at you like you're trying to get someone to laugh in assembly. Episode 37. So what we're going to do, just a little bit of boring admin, is we're going to do this episode. It should be a slightly quicker one.
Yeah.
And then when we're up in Edinburgh, right, we're going to try and release one a week, and we're going to do a 3-parter of Eileen Wernos. And if we do we might do some other little bonus stuff up there. Yes. Basically, we're going to try really hard because we're going to be together for a month.
Yep. And potentially, we still may do a live show in Edinburgh. We're still waiting to hear.
Oh, yeah, God, yeah. I mean, if anyone here listens here from a venue, please, we would love to be at your venue. And we might have a live one to release from the Manchester show as well.
Yes.
Let's see how much is left when we cut out the libelous.
I mean, I would like to release it because I do a really good joke in that nobody laughs at. But I'll tell you what, I'll pull it back later on, don't I?
Just about.
I smashed it a bit later on.
No, you didn't. It was sympathy. Anyway, episode 37. Peter Moore. You guys voted on this one.
Yep. It's a weird one, this, because the information that was available to us, considering this was only in 1995 and it was in Wales...
Yeah.
Very thin on the ground, wasn't it?
Very thin on the ground. It's almost like it happened in China or Russia. Where I'm from, this all takes place in the area that I'm from. Yeah, it is strange that they weren't... I can't believe, though, that they are so fucking incompetent. Nothing was ever written down.
I just find it really strange. It's because usually, especially when there's documentaries about serial killers and stuff, you know the parents' names, you know when they were born, you know what the childhood was like.
It could be that there's because he used to kill gay guys predominantly. He's known as the gay serial killer. That's shit, isn't it?
There's no effort in that whatsoever.
And also, it's not correct. Like a gay serial killer, it should have been a serial killer who killed gays as opposed to a gay serial. Although he was gay.
He was gay, yeah.
That's sort of. Why put that first? That's the worst thing. But this is the thing. I think that's why they don't have any details on the victims, because knowing how homophobic where I'm from is no one can tell you about their childhood because no one had anything to do with them. What? Gay Pete? No fucking idea. Just went to school with him. Used to batter him.
It's just strange because usually we have loads of stuff about somebody. This one. Oh, we've got so far. He was born in 1940.
Yeah. Oh, he had another nickname, which was the Man in Black.
Oh, which he cultivated himself, didn't he?
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
The man. There's nothing worse than somebody who cultivates something like a look or does something.
You know when they walk in with a hat on and they're you can tell that they're oh, this is going to be my thing. And it's a huge fur hat or something.
Is it awful when somebody wears a hat that doesn't usually wear a hat, and it's... I don't know, it doesn't really suit them and you just have to deal with the situation. You can't mention it.
Yeah, that happened an awful lot. 2002-3 when everyone was wearing pork pie hats because of Pete Doherty. And you're what? How do I bring up with them that you don't look like a cool indie star? You look like you're selling tights in the war. So
it's horrible. You look like Mickey from Only Fools and Horses. Which also, if you do Google image Peter Moore, he does look a bit like Boise from Only Fools and Horses, doesn't he? He also looks like Dennis the Menace's dad from the Beano.
So much like him. I don't know if these are all incredibly British references.
Yeah, I think they probably are.
You might have to give it a Google, our international listeners.
Because America, you do have Dennis the Menace, but it's the blonde-haired kid who annoys Mr. Wilson. That's Dennis. That was called Dennis the Menace.
I thought that was a reference to some high school shooting that I didn't know about.
No. That's Dennis the Menace. But our Dennis the Menace is pretty good. As a dog called Nash. I was in the Dennis the Menace fan club.
Really?
Yeah, I was. And I remember.
Did you like Beryl the Peril?
I did like Beryl the Peril. Was she in the Beano or the Dandy?
She might have been Dandy.
I remember used to have a T-shirt from the fan club. And my mum bought me from a car boot sale a couple of years ago a replacement T-shirt because obviously didn't have it anymore. Anyway, it was about 4 years ago. The place that I was working at the time, someone came up to me and tried to catch me out, right? Someone who worked there because I was wearing it, and he went, ding, and I went, dong, because that's how you identify
a
fellow member of the Dennis the Menace fan club. And he just went, all right then, okay. What? Yes! 2 grown people.
That's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing.
Ding. Dong. All right, okay then.
You know what it sounds like? A fucking come on.
Yeah, dong.
Ding dong. I'll see you in cubicle 3 in 10 minutes.
Which we'll get to a bit of that in a minute as well.
So sorry, but the details are thin on the ground. So we know he was born in 1940, but we don't know what month or what day.
Or where.
Yeah. I think it was England. And then in the 50s they moved to North Wales.
Yeah. They moved to Kimnall Bay, is that right?
Yeah, Kimnall Bay. Yeah, shithole.
We don't know his parents' names either, although we've looked. He was very much a mummy's boy, very effeminate as a child. They were a popular family, very well known they lived in one of the most prestigious homes in Anglesey, called Darlington House.
Was it on Anglesey? I thought it was in Kimnall Bay in Conway they lived.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm...
Oh, yeah, I don't think it was on Anglesey. I think it was Kimnall Bay in Conway.
Ah, okay.
And they had this Darlington House place.
Which...
It's so funny because on the documentary, they go, he lived in Darlington House, which gave him sort of an inflated sense of self. And they sort of pan past this shithole of a house, and they go, it was a lot nicer back then. Like even the documentary's like, I'm in the shame of it.
I mean, it's messed now, but at one time it really, really was something. So he had sort of delusions of grandeur because of this. He thought he was cut above other people because they lived in this nice house. And he was very close to his mother. Warning sign number 1. His father was a heavy drinker, again. Get your bingo cards out. He obviously suspected that Peter was gay, and he wasn't very happy about this. Being gay was illegal in those times as well.
They mention that enough on the fucking documentary, don't they? Every other line is like, and it was illegal then, which should always be followed up with, which is disgusting. Yeah. But they're saying it like, well, halcyon days, it was illegal then, so trying to justify their own, like, homophobic attacks.
It should be followed up with, and it was illegal then. Thank God times have moved on. But it's just like justifying, we might have said a few slurs, but it was illegal then. Now the family, as I said, were quite popular, and Peter was really into filmmaking. He had what do they call it? Is it a cine camera?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what it is. One of those old films that whenever you see footage from them, you just know something terrible's happened.
Yeah.
Or it's birds of a feather.
And they're always in a garden smiling and like spinning around with their arms open. And there's a dog in someone's jumper. It's always the same. There's weird home videos.
And the only music you hear in your head is like really slow piano.
Yeah.
music.
And they put this noise over the top. Like you're watching on a projector. It's weird that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very weird. I find it really sinister.
Earlier when we were writing up the information for this, I'll just get this in quickly, I phoned my father and I said, Dad, do you remember those murders that happened where that guy from the cinema went, oh yeah, it's got the cinema in Holyhead, I remember that, yeah. I said, what do you remember about it? He said, I remember everyone talking about it because nothing like that happens around here, and it's very like, it's a bit like Hot Fuzz where I'm from. There's loads of fucking murders going on, but no one really talks about it, and like everyone's shocked when it happens. And he said, oh, I remember. And he said, he killed a sort of a night watchman who worked in Gwalchmire, and he had kids and things, and then some reclusive farmer. You can see the farm still from the motorway when you drive to Holyhead. I said, oh, right, okay. I said, do you know it was motivated by, like, he was only killing gay guys? He went, what? I went, well, my kids and a wife. I said, so did Michael Barrymore, Dad. And he was like, oh no, well, are you sure about that? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure that most of the people he killed are gay. He went, well, I knew he was a deviant, but I didn't know the people he murdered were. And I was like, all right, well, I'll speak to you soon, Dad.
Oh, he was doing so well.
Yeah, it really was, yeah.
He was doing so well. Now, Peter, I don't know, there's something about, I was going to say Peter just doesn't sound like the name of a serial killer, but there's Peter Sutcliffe, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's something about the name Peter that doesn't...
And Pedro
yeah.
Alonso thingy, and that's Peter, isn't it?
Now, he had a mutual... him and his mother adored each other. And there's one particular film that he made. She was in all of his films that he made with his little camera. And there's one apparently where he's filmed himself running up to his mother with a bunch of roses, talking about saying how much he loved her.
It's so creepy.
It's weird. I mean, do you know what? My mum's great. I love her. But, so I wouldn't want to film her. She won't let us. I've got no pictures of my mum,
Really?
No.
How do you know it's your mum?
Well, this is what I'm starting to worry about. Like, she won't have a picture taken. And I've got pictures of her when she was younger, like her and my dad.
Is she fit? Because you're good looking.
Oh, keep it coming, mate, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, she looked cracking. But she just won't have a picture taken.
Really?
Yeah, and my mum would never have a picture. Won't have a picture taken. My granddad would never have his picture taken.
What do they think? It's going to steal their soul?
No, they just hate it. absolutely hate
We
it.
all hate having our fucking picture taken.
I've got no pictures of me with my mum.
Oh, God.
At all.
That's grim.
At all. It's weird, isn't
Can't
it?
you get someone to draw it on the street? Have you both playing volleyball?
Well, I used to...
Something to remember about.
I used to think about it, because I used to do a bit about it in one of my Edinburgh shows, and it was, like, say if she went missing, I'd just have to draw an artist's impression. Like, who are they going to end up looking for? Like, because the only thing I can draw is Sonic the Hedgehog. So, like...
Last scene, very quickly collecting rings in the Harper Hay area.
I just, like, she just won't have a pitch taken. My sister's the same as well.
Well, your sister needs to keep anonymous to other people that are Googling her.
Oh, God, this is very true. Oh, let's not... Yeah, we won't mention her.
He had a nickname as well, didn't he? Old Peter Moore.
Oh, what was it?
Norman Bates.
Oh, yes, of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah, because obviously he was very close to his mother, and he didn't particularly get on with his dad. His dad did eventually die, and Peter never revealed his sexuality to his father, although I think it was probably obvious, and he felt like he'd be rejected by him, and he never ever told his mother as well, and also he didn't mention it because it was illegal, as we keep being reminded. So his father dies, and it's good for him because he just gets his mum all to himself, and in this time he joins a film group to watch B movie horrors. Is that the right way around? Horror B movies, movie horrors. In other words, shit films.
Shit films, yeah, schlocky horror films, basically. Well, they came, like, you know, they came from outer space. Those kind of things. House on the Haunted Hill, the original's a bit like that.
Oh, my God,
With
right.
Vincent Price, is it?
Yeah.
I like that. The skeleton comes out.
You know when the woman, like, is that one where there's, like, you can tell it's a mannequin, it's a woman in white, and she's on, like, thing. That scared the living shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
And I, like...
There is something scary about how shit it is.
That, and I'll tell you what else scared the shit out of me. Poltergeist. But my dad did make me watch that when I was 5. I say make, I was just off school. And I didn't sleep in my own bed for like 10 years. No, I was a bedwetter as well, and I think it could all stem back to that. Then, like, the other thing that I watched, 2 things that really scared me. And I can't even watch this, like, Pee Wee Herman.
What?
You know Pee Wee Herman?
Isn't that a comedy?
Yeah, but there's one bit of it where he gets in a truck and this truck driver's talking to him and he goes, oh, yeah, blah, 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 well, such and such thing. And when they turn round, he's telling a scary story, her face was like this. And it turned round and it's like a cartoon scary face. My God, that plays on my mind.
Really?
I've never watched it since. I don't even know if it's scary. That, and in the library bit in Ghostbusters.
What, where he asks her if she's menstruating? That's all I remember from
In
Ghostbusters.
No, there's a bit in the library, scary bit. And I used to work in a library.
Oh, yeah.
So every time I had to go down to find something, that was all I could think about. That ghost.
I'd
in
be
the
more
library.
worried about a shelf of books falling on me than something from Ghostbusters
It
happening.
was just ghosts all the time. That was my fear about that when I worked in that library. Ghosts. Every day, yeah. But I am the same woman who once spent like 10 minutes thinking, what if velociraptors got in? I wouldn't get out. These are the things I used to think about. Do you never do that? Like plan routes from... Well, it used to be dinosaurs, now it's terrorists.
Really?
Yeah. I sometimes, my mind wanders and I go, oh God, what if this happened now? How would I get out?
Really?
Yeah.
I literally don't get that shit any sort.
Yeah.
No.
Bit of a worrier, mate.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
What does he ask her in the library if she's in Ghostbusters?
It's a really funny bit where the woman's seen a ghost and they're asking her questions and Bill Murray sort of saunters up and goes, are you currently menstruating? Like, it's all just in her head. And I think she's an older woman as well. That's all I sort of remember.
That's
from
all
that
you
film.
remember?
Yeah.
Where were we up to? We digressed there, didn't we?
Fucking massively,
So,
yeah.
Peter actually managed... I'm calling Peter like he's my mate.
So he's watching these B movies.
Yeah.
And he's starting to get involved in the gay scene then.
Yeah. Natural progression.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But he's got this massive interest in film, so he buys, first of all, a cinema. So, like, one cinema. And it becomes sort of like pillar of the community. And in fact, there's a few cinemas that are under threat. they're going to be closed down because no bastards come in to see the films, but that doesn't mean they want it shut down. So he sort of saves these cinemas, rescues them, sweeps in, buys them. There's quite a lot in the paper about it because he sort of turns these businesses around and like pioneered these schemes. Like there was things where they would have kids cinema club where they'd pay a couple of quid and they get to have sweets and eat popcorn and watch kids films.
It makes me laugh. This like they used to call him Uncle Pete as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they talk about this on the documentaries. There's an interview with people, and they're going on about this Saturday film club for kids, and everyone's like, "Oh, we left our children with him." Yeah, he wasn't a paedophile.
Yeah,
he wasn't a pedo. Just the attitude of like, I
can
mean,
tell by
if he was gonna fuck kids, it would totally have been mine.
Yeah, it would be my
like,
sexy little kid,
my gorgeous kids.
I can tell by the way the people who are saying it as well when they're like, can you believe that we left our kids alone with him? They're the kind of people who would leave their kids in the car with the window rolled down and a packet of crisps. But it's so funny because like the documentaries about it, everyone's called like Caredig Evans or like Gareth Davis, like it's the Welshest thing in the world. And they're like really like, yes, he was one of the gays. And one thing they talk about is like, I remember he was, very responsible. He went to the council and he asked if he could put on Mrs. Doubtfire, and they all watched it to see if it was appropriate. And for some reason, my brain made the leap that he acted out the entirety of Mrs. Doubtfire by himself,
like Alan Partridge when he does the Bond film.
Nobody does it better. Yeah, so I just imagine this guy like doing the whole
with
film.
Like props and a dress,
yeah.
changing characters. Do you know, that's an image I'd really like to have seen that. And then this happens. So it was a respectable figure around the town.
Not behind closed doors though, mate. Not behind that projection screen.
No, because he's doing the kids club. He's showing the normal films and stuff. He's also putting on live sex shows at the cinma.
Live sex shows as
opposed to necrophilia sex shows. Now, what intrigues me is how word gets around about this. Like back then, so it's the 90s. Not many people got mobile phones. The internet hasn't really taken off yet, or
Yeah, it's not like they can do a bat signal of a cock and balls and people follow it.
So how do you get into a conversation and ascertain that somebody isn't the same thing as you? Like, do you want to come to a live sex show on Saturday?
I'm like, oh no, sorry, I can't.
Oh, no,
match of the days on.
Yeah, it's not really my thing. Sorry.
Must have done it by fax or pager.
Oh God, pages. They were. Do you remember when they were like a trend?
Yeah, I remember Buffy when she's like, if the apocalypse comes, beat me. And I was like, I really want a pager, even though I was like, who the fuck is going to get hold of me on one of those?
You're 11, mate.
Yeah, you're 11. You're not a doctor in A&E. There's absolutely no need for you to have a pager.
Did I have a pager? I did have a pager. I think somebody gave it me. Oh, sorry.
What is it?
I think I'm probably getting mixed up with a Tamagotchi.
Is it like a little thing that sends you like a line of text that's like,
yeah,
David says, can you call him or whatever?
But you'd have to ring the sort of call centre. From what I can remember, you'd have to ring a call centre and be like, oh, can you page this message to this pager?
So like Telegram?
Yeah. So and then
like,
they'd write it.
How are you? ?
Yeah, and then they'd send it, and then the person would get it. And then they'd like...
This sounds absolutely dog shit. I'm glad it died out.
I think that's how it worked. I can't quite remember.
I thought you could type on them. It's like an early form of texting.
I'm going to have to look into this. I just can't remember.
You know what? Pages is one of those things that fucking hipster kids will start carrying around now.
Oh, please don't. That comedian that we were talking about before, I bet he carries one. I bet he doesn't have a mobile phone. I bet he has a page. What about, like, fax machines as well? I hate the noise that they make, like, noise.
When you accidentally call a fax number. It's like, beep, 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 beep. And I think they're abroad. I think it's a machine, mate.
Yeah, look, let's look into how a pager worked. Because I just can't recall it.
I mean, this is... Come on. We're scraping the barrel.
This is some great podcasting right here, guys.
We're clearly both tired, aren't we?
Fresh from a sellout tour. They've got nothing to talk about.
God, this has got so, like, points of view. I wonder how pages work. We were laughing about points of view earlier, weren't we? Why? I don't know if you have this in internationally. I'm aware of making it to American-centric, so I'm saying internationally now. But in the UK, we have this fucking dog shit programme where we basically give
And it's like a 7-minute long programme.
Yeah, and we basically give Middle Englanders a chance to get on their soapbox and whine about the BBC or say it's good. And it used to be hosted by National Treasure Terry Wogan. So he'd be sat there and they go, Jill from Dunstable had this to say. And then they'd have like a voiceover or a phone message sometimes that they recorded and they're like... really enjoyed Gardener's question time this week. Although I do ask, do you have to play the credits so quickly? I wanted to know who it was who was playing fucking whatever. And they were going far too fast. It actually made me have motion sickness, even after my peppermint tea. Thanks. And there's a programme of that.
And stuff like... finally, Auntie has had the sense to reschedule Songs of Praise from its later slot to an earlier time. Really enjoyed the broadcast from Shrewsbury Cathedral. More, please.
That's so accurate. Fucking calling. I hate anyone who calls the BBC Auntie. Or Auntie Beeb. Oh, God. Or the Beeb.
The Beeb.
Or the whatever they... You know, when they say, like bullshit broadcasting communism or whatever the fuck they call it, you know, right in arseholes.
Oh, Songs of Praise. It was so rubbish. Not Songs of Praise.
Still on.
Oh, I need
Songs
to cut that
Praise.
bit. Songs of Praise. I sometimes find myself watching that only because I want to watch people get the words wrong, you know, and they're singing and they think they're it.
Yeah.
I'm proper going for it. Like, I love God the best. And like
that you've absolutely nailed what church is. I love God the best.
And they're singing, and then they just slip up and they get one word. I'm like, yeah.
It wasn't cloth. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. It wasn't shroud. I'm so sorry. What are the chances of that?
Oh God, I feel sick.
Come on, let's go back to S&M.
Oh shit, yeah, that's better. So yes, it was sadomasochism.
It's so funny on the documentary because they just show some like big lad with like a sack over his head and he's wearing a string vest, which I mean you won't, like most people won't know what they are, but like it's like wide fishnet but it's a black one. So for S&M, my dad used to wear them. So disgusting. He used to I'd remember waking up and I'd be like going for a wee in the morning and he'd be there like pounding around in nothing but a string vest. So with like his dick and balls hanging down like the last turkey in Sainsbury's, flapping around everywhere, like, oh my God. And then this fucking blue string vest. And like, how does that keep you warm? I know there's science that it gets caught in the air pockets, but it's so... He looks like something that has been pulled up from a deep sea trawler.
I can't stop thinking about your dad's dick.
It's all right, mate. We've all been there. You sound like my mum.
I just can't stop thinking about your dad's dick.
He's just been circumcised, which he...
Really?
Yeah, he's like, oh God, I've got to go and have things down my nut. He's been like giving us a blow by blow of what's been happening. My brother's like, can you ask Dad to stop talking about his dick while he's making us a fry-up, please?
Oh, God. Someone once told me that they had a massive penis, and I was like, all right. And then they said, yeah, well, it's to be expected. My dad's got a massive one as well. And I was like, I don't really like this conversation.
I don't know how big my dad... I've blocked that out.
Yeah, why would you know?
Yeah, that's really weird, isn't it?
You really shouldn't know.
I could only pick like 3 different people from a lineup. No, maybe 2. And those are just the ones in most recent memory.
Don't you think it's weird? Yeah, when you go out with somebody. Like, I went out with somebody for 5 years, 3 years. Took a long time to get over it. And I wouldn't know his penis if I fell over it. I wouldn't know it. Wouldn't know it now.
Really?
Huh?
No, I reckon you could.
Do you reckon?
Definitely know I could. I definitely know there's one I'm never gonna forget.
Oh, that's
not necessarily in a good way, because I'm like, you need to get that sorted.
What was wrong with it?
I don't want to say.
Did it have teeth?
You look like the worm in Tremors.
Yeah, when you say like, we were talking before about your dad, not his dick, just your dad, and like his dad looked like he'd been something dragged out of the sea.
Yeah.
Like one of those horrible lantern fish.
Yeah, like there's an amazing Instagram account. There's like this Russian deep sea fisherman, and he just takes pictures of the things he finds in the sea, and a lot of them are just like a full set of teeth with a fin attached and an eye on the side. They're an absolute fucking shit show. Like some of that stuff in there is disgusting. Like, have you seen those teeth? Those fish, they've got a full set of teeth, and I mean like beautiful straight teeth,
No.
like they're in Friends. It's absolutely fucking mad. There's so much fucked up shit in the ocean because we put whatever we want in there. It's full of fucking tampons, johnnies, and radioactive waste, isn't it? No wonder things are coming up looking like that.
They're horrible. There's some stuff down there that I just don't even want to.
It looks like Frankenstein. There's, those ones with the bioluminescence, is it?
Yeah.
I think they look like Gordon Brown. Those angelfish, where it's just a jaw, it's just a frown with a light on it.
There's so much scary stuff, isn't there? We'll
I wouldn't eat it either.
We'll put some pictures from the Instagram. No, when I can't eat anything from the sea, it's not for me. Allergic, innit, mate? But, I've actually used that phrase seriously. Like, if it's from the sea, it's not for me. I'm allergic, I'm afraid.
Trying to get the whole table to join in.
Yeah, trying to get a thing started.
We're looking for stuff to put on t-shirts. Maybe we'll try that.
Yeah, if it's from the sea, it's not for me. See if it'll catch on. Catch.
Right, keep moving. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Oh, God. Right, so I actually started, because obviously by this point quite comfortable with the fact, he's quite comfortable with the fact that he's gay and he's quite out and about in the gay community. He started to invite other gay men back to his house. So he'd dress in leather and invite them upstairs and beat them because he enjoyed inflicting pain and have sex with them. Now, this is when his mum's still alive, but in 1995, his mother dies.
He lived with his mum.
I know.
Maybe it's one of those houses that has 2 staircases. So, they take him up the servants' staircase, which sounds a bit sexual, doesn't it? So mother didn't have to. Well, mother sits and watches her programs in the front room.
Maybe it was. Maybe she was in bed by the time this was all happening.
Well, I hope she's deaf as well. Well, he's pounding sabotage shit out of these lads.
2 big lads.
What are you doing in there? Tenderising meat, mother. Never you mind.
So she dies, and then this is where his behaviour escalates, because he starts to hide in the street and in bushes and stuff, and to find drunk men walking home from the pub, and then he'd hit them, knock them to the ground, knock some of them out as well. Then he'd either masturbate over them or wee on them. So there was a lot of victims of these attacks as well. We haven't got the precise number because everything's a bit vague.
There's more than 50 assaults that he carried out on men in this time period since really his mum died in 95.
And not a lot of the men came forward about this because I suppose it's hard for men to discuss. Maybe
toxic masculinity, mate. That's why they didn't come forward.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, our police force is fucking shit. Yes, I'm obsessed with this Twitter account, right? And it's called North Wales Rural Crime, and it's so earnestly written, it's hilarious. So there'll be a picture of these policemen stood there in wellies in a field somewhere with a sheepdog chatting to a farm, and it'll be #1 love, #1 job, #1 nature. And then this guy who runs a Twitter account is so into it, and they'll be another busy day at the office, and then it'll be a picture of some broken eggs, and they'll be some fiend's broken in and killed these wood pigeons. And he's we'll find you. And they're so into it.
When we're ready.
Yeah, but it's they're God, another huge day at the office, and it'll be that someone's left been fly tipping a sofa in Gwalchmai or something like that.
Oh God.
It's really cute though.
Well, the tell you what wasn't cute, these beatings that he was giving out, right? Because fucking terrible. One of the men that he attacked, couldn't identify who'd attacked him because he had such severe brain injuries that he was confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
Shit.
So horrible attacks. Now, he's in the news as well at the time because he's saving the cinemas in Wales, so he's quite a bit of a local celeb.
Yeah, he had a really good relationship with the journalist at the local paper because he'd always run a big appeal and things like that. Now,
this is a bit that annoyed me because one of the documentaries, it said, because his mother had died and he had a bit more freedom and, he could be, carry on and live his life how he wanted to live. His obsession with horror films really started to get out of control. It pisses me off, this kind of thing. Just because you're into something. I mean, the films that he was into anyway, these shit B movies.
Yeah.
He's more likely to, I don't know,
make terrible films in his own time.
Yeah, than go out and kill somebody. So that's the kind of thing that really annoys me.
I love horror films. I will rarely watch a film for leisure that isn't a horror film. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean I'm going I can't deal with a heavy period, let alone going out and fucking stabbing someone.
Yeah,
it's bullshit. There's no link.
We do this podcast. I absolutely love horror films, but I'm scared to death of everything. Yeah. If I'm in the house on my own, I will be one of those people I have to run and put the light out, run and hide under the covers, and I'm no, I'm not getting out from here.
I could just hear you scratching your skin really audibly.
Oh, sorry, like that.
Yeah, oh, that's making me, really, it's turning me sick, mate.
Should we cut that out?
No, that's fucking staying.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm scared of the dark. Now, so this is September 1995. He's putting on his sex shows as well for these select groups of people.
Have we talked about what he started collecting? I don't think we have we?
No, we've not.
Got a hobby. Everyone's got to have a good hobby.
Very true.
Not battering local lads in North Wales.
No.
It's collecting the old Nazi memorabilia, which oddly is, I reckon, easier than you think, because my brother's partner put on Facebook the other day, she was like, she's American, she's so cute, and she's like, we've just been car booting. She's like, there's some great stuff, and she's like, also some weird stuff, and there was like, don't know, some like, you know, cool little desk, and then there's just like a Nazi insignia that you fucking screw to the front of your car.
Whoa.
It's full on that, isn't it?
Yeah, that is pretty full on.
We've got a because of some quirk that happened with my parents.
When you said we, I thought you were referring to us. I was like, where's this going?
We have decided that's what we're going to invest in. That's going to be more on our Etsy shop. Yeah, because so my parents have got, because of a job that my dad did with this like really rich, eccentric old woman, she gave them a ceremonial dagger from a Nazi officer's uniform. So we've got this it's really badass. Obviously, it's horrible, but it's kind of cool. It's like this thing that would have hung from their belt, and it was taken from apparently the captain of the first ever U-boat that was captured. And it's got like this silver acorn hanging from it, which I think means like designates like what rank they were. And then it's got like this orange handle. It looks like sort of amber but brighter. And then it's got that little eagle on the end with a swastika in. But it's so fucking, it's cool. It's like a great old thing, but it's also shit, so creepy.
That eagle, it's one of the things that I'm always like, when I see certain things with an eagle, I'm like, is that Nazi? Or is it not?
Have you noticed everyone with these jumpers now, where it's like a eagle with its arms outstretched and a ring underneath, and it's got like boy written. Yeah. I'm like, that's the fucking Nazi logo you're using.
I don't get it. Like, it makes me nervous, stuff like that, because I'm like, I don't know if this is racist or not.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. Anything that's that similar, just be like, oh, it's, you know, when it's like, actually it's the Hindu sign for peace because it's the other way round. And like, I don't give a shit, mate. It looks like a swastika.
Yeah, just don't touch it. Leave it.
Weird.
I've told a story about drawing the swastika, haven't I?
Yeah.
Well, I hope I have, because now that's just going to sound really weird. I can't tell it now. If I haven't told it, please God, somebody tweet me. It's not as bad as it sounds.
She has, yeah. I'm pretty sure she has told it.
It wasn't with spray paint.
Yeah, it wasn't daubed on the front of a Jewish family's garage.
It was a misunderstanding. That's what it was. I was a child and it was a misunderstanding. Anyway.
Let's get to the murders, mate.
Get to the murders. So, I'll tell you as well, this is quite... Although he's a serial killer, I think he's a spree killer as well, because this is all within 3 months. In 1995, the murders he commits.
Yeah.
So he's watching, his sex shows are becoming more and more violent. He's becoming obsessed with fascism, and he's collecting Nazi memorabilia. And this is where he meets Henry Roberts, who also collects Nazi memorabilia. He was a bachelor. Was he the farmer?
Yeah, he's the reclusive farmer. So he lived in Holyhead. He was 56 years old. And apparently he used to spend like £100 a week at the pub.
Legend.
But he lived in absolute squalor. My dad said, oh, he's this reclusive farmer, and he used to, you know, go down a pub once a week for a drink, and he jumped him. And I was like, yeah, he did have his trousers down now, and apparently he spent £100 a week on booze, and he's like, no. My dad just like dismissed it.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, he lived in this absolute shithole of a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And
so Peter Moore goes round to see his memorabilia. Do you want to come over and have a look at my Nazi memorabilia?
I think it's so weird when people invite other people over to look at anything other than your vagina. Like I've never been like, do you want to come over and look at my fucking whatever? And I've got loads of cool shit in my house.
I have done it with the Oasis clippings.
Oh.
A fellow comedian that we know was staying, and he was absolutely thrilled to look through my clippings with me.
Are we in the same room as them now?
No, they're in the other room. What do you mean?
I just want to know where they are at all times.
They're in that room next door.
It's like an ex. You're like, where are they in the house party? Right, if they're in the kitchen, I'm going to stay upstairs.
But it was the only time in my life that I was able to say to somebody and feel comfortable and say, would you like to come upstairs and go through my Oasis newspaper clippings with me? And I was met with a resounding, yes, I would.
God, it's so lame. I can't tell you how fucking lame it is.
We had a lovely time.
God.
So that's it. Well, invite people around for that.
Do you want to come over and see me clippings? Not today, Rachel. Thank you, though.
How fit would someone have to be for him to say to you, do you want to come round and have a look at my Nazi memorabilia?
Oh God, there isn't an attractiveness level for that.
There's not. Is that you couldn't.
One of my best mates has got like some stamps. I don't know where he acquired them, which have got Hitler's face on it. And then he's trying to sell his house at the moment, and he was like, "Shit, I left the stamps out, and, and now the estate agent won't call me back."
Bloody hell.
So he comes over to look at his Nazi memorabilia.
So he goes over to look at his Nazi memorabilia. Now, doesn't he say to him something like, "How much are you into fascism?" or something?
Yeah, he said, "Would you say you were a fascist?"
And then he stabs him to death. And
Yes.
this was a horrible attack. He was stabbed 47 times.
Yeah.
His trousers were lowered, and he was left at the house, wasn't he, I think?
Yeah.
Now, he's still... At this point, nobody's suspecting him.
No.
So...
And it wasn't, oddly, even though the guy's trousers were down, it wasn't deemed as sexual.
No.
Maybe he wasn't wearing a belt, so they just assumed they'd fallen down. But there wasn't nothing sexual or no link towards, like, like, it being a gay thing. Not that murder is a gay thing. I don't know how to put it correctly.
Yeah.
That there was no link there, so they just thought it was, like, some horrible thing that had happened.
Now, there's a bit on one of the documentaries that we were chatting about that annoyed us, didn't it? Because Gareth Hughes is a local journalist who pops up again throughout this story.
Gareth Hughes?
Gareth Hughes. There's some letters, and a graphologist
Oh, God.
goes over it. It's like, now, graphology, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
It's like fucking... What's it called?
I feel like it's a party trick. That's what I feel
it's like phrenology. It's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I feel it's like, because she's... The lady who was talking about it, she was like, yes, well, is this kind of person, that kind of person? And it's like, well, if I said to you, yeah, mate, here's a letter from a serial killer, tell me what this person's like from their writing.
And she clearly knew, because she was like, yeah, she can see from the writing that he thought that living in a big house made him better than other people. Like, unless he's written that down, what the fuck are you getting that from, unless you know about him already? Phrenology really, really pisses me off. Really fucking boils my piss. You might as well get a psychic in and all the fuck's going on.
Sometimes, you know what I feel sad about?
War.
The way Comic Sans, the font, gets treated.
It's had a rough old deal, hasn't it?
Do you know what?
Times New Roman's fucking dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I really feel that Comic Sans has been... It's been abused, I think, and it's bullied. And I'd like to see it make a comeback.
Really? Well, let's change all the podcast stuff to that.
Well, I'm not going to go that far, mate. What I mean is, like, I just think, I don't find it an offensive font.
You know what? It's annoying. It's because it's quite joyful and quite funny, and like warm. So idiots have taken it to their heart, haven't they? And like every A4 sheet that's sellotaped to a Greasy Spoon's wall will be in Comic Sans. Like the Belly Buster, $7.50.
Every office. It's Friday, guys. Cakes are here. Help yourself.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, can I have one without a hair? No, okay. God, to work in an office. In fact, some people are going to be listening to this while sat in their office thinking, I hate these cunts.
Yeah.
So this is just a moment through time. We're with you.
I used to work with, years ago, I used to work at Tourist Information Centre. And Mike, that I used to work with, who I'm still friends with now, we got moved to these offices, and it was a shared kitchen. And he used to go into the shared fridge and eat everyone else's sandwiches. Right, but not out of... hunger, he was so annoyed and hated everybody.
Amazing.
He'd go, watch this, and he'd just shove like 3 sandwiches in his mouth, be like, eat them. And every 2 days this email would go around like, who is eating the sandwiches in the fridge? Such a legend.
Maria Bamford used to do an amazing bit about working in an office, and they're like, somebody keeps laminating all the hot chocolate pouches. And they're like, somebody keeps going into the unisex bathroom and singing Spanish folk songs. And she starts going, hola, se todo, se quedo. It's really funny.
There's a lot where we're up to. Oh, yes.
What's kicking off outside?
I don't know.
Did I tell you, went around the park today, and like on the trunks of the trees, so people leave stuff for the squirrels, right? So they leave like breadcrumbs and stuff for the pigeons and the squirrels. On one of the tree stumps was no less than 5 snake skins. That someone's just left there, like, fucking so
why?
creepy.
Why?
I think they think the birds are going to eat them. All that happened was my dog tried to eat it, and I nearly kicked him up the arse.
I just don't get why you would... That's such a weird thing to leave.
Yeah, I hate snake skins as well. They're so gross. You know, those little black bits where the eyes were.
Yeah.
Well, you got skin over your eyes, you little fucking deviant.
Horrible, innit?
Yeah, really gross.
Horrible. So, we've forgotten where we're up to again.
No,
now,
we haven't. He starts wearing black clothes all the time.
This is it. Now, this is where he creates his look. So he's wearing black clothes all the time. So it's like... It's a weird thing, actually, because I can't really see how... He must have made it a thing, because I don't think people would really comment if somebody was wearing all black.
Yeah, I think he tried to cultivate it, didn't he?
My old housemate, Colin, who you know...
Oh, yes.
He wears all black all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, my mum used to really like Colin's style.
Really?
Yeah, and the amount of time she'd be having a cup of tea and she'd go, oh, Colin, just stand there. Let me take a picture of you. You look cool. Colin would be like, thanks very much.
It's a technician thing though with him, isn't it? Because he's a sound tech, so
yeah,
techies usually wear dark clothes. Now I don't like it because he's Johnny Cash's "Man in Black" is my favourite Johnny Cash song. I think it's incredible, because he's just sort of like, he basically says, I wear black to represent all the people who are having a shit time. So there's a bit where he says...
And because it's very slimming.
Yeah, why not? And it was a little doughy around the hips, wasn't he, old JC? He says it like, I wear it for the poor and the beaten down, and a prisoner who's long paid for his crime but is there because he's a victim of the time. You know, like people who are unlawfully still in prison. And it's all so on point, and I'm like, oh God, there's this bit, right? And then it turns to me. So he says, I wear the black for those who've never read. Amazing. He's standing up for people who are literate. And then follows up with, or listen to the words that Jesus said about the road to happiness through love and charity, where you think he's talking straight to you and me. It's like, leave Jesus out of it. We're having such a nice time. And then you're like, oh, you're going to stand up for illiterates? Oh, but only because you think you're going to burn in hell. It really fucking annoys me because I sing along and then have to keep silent.
It was going so well, and then he mentioned Jesus.
Yeah, pushing your agenda.
Oh, I bet he'd have watched Songs of Praise, wouldn't he?
Oh, God, and enjoyed it. I don't know who enjoyed it. I don't know who's it for. Who is it for? But then it's always absolutely rammed in those cathedrals. And I was, everyone's always saying we're not a Christian nation.
He's a popular guy, God, he's a popular guy.
Yeah, but quite a few venues, isn't he?
Yes,
more
definitely.
and more shutting down, though.
I reckon, though, those churches, majority of the year, apart from Christmas and Songs of Praise coming round, quite quiet.
Yeah, they will be. I've never been to our local church, that big one at the end of the street.
Oh, I have.
Is it good? It looks like it'd be really fit inside.
It's all right. I was baptised in there.
Really? Is that when you do it?
Communionised?
Communionised?
I don't know. First all communion.
That sounds like you were handed round, mate. That sounds like some real dark Catholic shit.
I was communionised, yeah. I'm sure that goes on. No
wonder you were wet in your bed.
I was baptised when I was 7.
Is that where they push you in a river?
Oh, no, it was just pour it on my head. Because I went to a Catholic school and they went through their records and they realised that I wasn't baptised.
I wasn't christened, so then you needed to be baptised.
No,
I don't know how
same
it
thing,
works.
baptism, christening.
Right, oh, okay.
Same thing.
Isn't baptism when you're older, though? Christening is when you're a baby.
No, I don't think
I know nothing about religion, so I don't know. I think
baptism probably is a more grown-up thing to say, but there's none of this river nonsense. Just pour a bit of water on your bonce, off you go. God's your dad now.
That's a shower, mate. I think I've been baptised in that case.
I think I just had a shower with a priest, which I'm not ready to talk about just yet. Anyway, so now some of his so he's known as the Man in Black around this time, and
I bet he stunk.
Yeah, sort of goth musk.
Goth musk. He's always got one of those, like, in the reconstructions, got one of those terrible, like, 90s leather jackets on.
Oh, cowboy jackets.
Where it's like, that smells of brute and sweat.
I got a bit of a thing for...
Oh, another one of your fucking weird things. Men that smell.
It's got to be a certain smell.
Yeah, it can't be that they've never used deodorant. But, like, when you've had sex with someone and they smell a bit, I'm like, oh, that's so fit.
Or, sometimes I quite like, I know you're clean, but you smell like you've been on a train all day.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
It's where for me, it has to be, they started off clean at one point.
Yes.
It's not like I walk past someone who's sleeping rough and I'm like, hello, big boy.
Yeah, it's like, they've been clean. they've just been really busy.
Yeah.
Probably travelling around.
Yeah, hot day.
Yeah, hot day. They've had to roll their sort of shirt sleeves up or something.
She's got her eyes closed. It's so creepy. Send help, please.
And then you just sort of move up like, and you're like, ugh. Anyway, so
God.
I just think it's really nice.
You need to be sitting on a towel while you're doing this.
Well, probably like a plastic bag if I'm honest.
I love that in nudist camps they make them sit on a towel. I think that's the most degrading thing ever.
Put your towel down.
Yeah, like they've got a new sofa.
You know, I always think when you see people in nudist camps, you know those plastic chairs that have gaps in them.
The bollock popping through one of them.
Bollock popping through. Or getting slightly trapped, like pinching. So, now, a few people knew about his sexuality. Now, some of them who did know also knew that he had a bit of a violent streak. And at this point, so the first murders happened, and the attacks on men that had been happening weren't linked to the murder at this time. Now Moore was hanging around public toilets in a well-known area. It was cottaging. Incidentally, do you know why it's called cottaging?
No.
Because back in the day, when gays were gays, but not allowed to be, the public toilets, a lot of them were done up like in the style of a cottage, old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's what it's called,
great
cottaging.
gay sense of humour to be like, oh, we're just off cottaging for the weekend. That's great.
So that's what it's called. And this one he went to, is it Penfarn?
No, Pensarn.
Pensarn.
Yeah, it was apparently but everyone knew it was where people went to pick up. Public toilets, I can barely squeeze out a piss in them. They smell so bad. I couldn't suck a dick in one.
Oh.
And on kneeling down as well on that floor. No, thank you very much.
No.
I don't know how they do it. How do you even get hard when you can hear someone squeezing out a kidney next door? Because people do things in public toilets. Only they go there because they have to go, or they do stuff there that they want anonymous. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's a fucking horror show. And men's toilets are worse than ever. Like, I'm all for gender-neutral spaces. I think it's absolutely brilliant. But the worst part about it is, like, oh, brilliant. Now, women's toilets going to smell as fucking bad as men's because they cannot piss in the bowl.
I just think it's just, like, you know, you use those service stations. It's a petrol station, but there's a toilet, but there's no... So it's just, like, a unisex toilet.
Oh, yeah.
And... the amount of times I've gone in, I'm like, oh God, this is going to be... Well, I'm going to have to hover for this.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a stray pube on the seat.
Yeah, hover, and then, like, basically, there's no toilet roll, so you got to stamp your feet like you're doing a hacker for the New Zealand All Blacks.
I once went in a... Where was I? I think it was in a Starbucks. And sometimes in Starbucks, or whatever, it's men's toilet and a woman's toilet. It's always one cubicle. And sometimes if I'm waiting, I'm not waiting there. I'm just going to use the bloke's toilet, because it's the same thing. I went in and it was fine, but there was 2 pubes in the sink.
What?
I know, and I was just like...
They've been washing their wedge. That is it. They've washed their wedge, haven't they? They've been on a date, it's going well, and they're like, well, I didn't pull it all the way back.
Oh, do you know what?
What, you can taste it?
No, you know, when I see, like, pubes on things... It's like I feel like I've got it in my mouth. I'm like, I want to scratch my tongue. I just don't. Cannot. I think I'm going to spew.
Is that when you get it in your throat?
Yeah.
You can't get it out. You're like, good God.
Oh, I'm going to be sick. We're going to have to move on. Quick, speak about murder.
Sorry. So, Edward Carthy, this is actually very sad. He's 28 years old. I always find it weird when they're younger, they're like close to my age, but younger than me. I feel very weird. I feel very guilty about being alive.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, so they met in a gay bar in Liverpool.
Yeah. Which, one of the documentaries says, which was just 1 hour's drive from North Wales.
Yeah, but like, this isn't tourist information, guys.
So he meets him at his bar and he's chatting to him. Edward's quite drunk, as you would be, you know, he's on a night out. He asked him, does he want to come home with him? So he said yes. And gets in his van and he falls asleep. Now, Moore doesn't take him back to his house. He takes him to a forest. And this is where he stabbed him.
Clochainog, it looks like forest. This is October 95, by the way. So.
Yeah, and he... Again, sorry about dates and stuff, but there's no good timeline for these
Well, this
things.
one they didn't find out about at the time. This is actually...
Yeah, he confessed to this.
He confessed to this, so...
So, it's really horrible. I mean, the whole thing's horrible, but he stabbed Edward in his stomach and thighs. Now, these were wounds that wouldn't have killed him straight away.
No.
It took him a long time to die. And he was buried in a very shallow grave, I think, and he was left undiscovered for months. It's just really sad, isn't it?
Yeah, really sad.
Now,
Poor kid.
Moore's still working at cinema at this time. He's struggling, though, because he wasn't getting the new films. They were all going to the multiplexes, and he decided to convert one of his cinemas into a pool hall. And he's under a lot of stress because he's a bit skintier than he used to be.
He needs to charge into the orgies, doesn't he?
Did he?
No, I'm saying he should have.
Oh, he should have.
That's an untapped resource.
What would be a good price?
I've told you this story before, haven't I?
Oh, the sandwiches.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've definitely heard this before, guys, but there's a guy that we know who runs orgies, and so someone at a gig went, "You run orgies, don't you?" Blank, Mark, let's say, Mark, and he goes, "Yeah," and he said, "Do you charge in?" He went, "Yeah, what I do is charge a £5, and then they get the nibbles as well." I'm like,
oh
God, nibble orgies. Orgy Nibbles.
Orgy
Nibbles sounds like a character from something. Here comes Orgy Nibbles.
Orgy Nibbles.
The adventures of Orgy Nibbles. He's stolen a bloody plane.
I want to know more about Orgy Nibbles. I really want to know more. In both senses of it.
Yes. If anyone's good at drawing, can you please draw us what you think Orgy Nibbles would look like?
I think that'd be amazing. I look forward to that.
So then November 95, so just like a month later.
So this is one that he decides to do. He's under a lot of stress, apparently, because of his business failing, and he's just driving along the road one night, and he pulls into a building site, and he knocks...
It's a roadworks, mate. It's a roadworks.
Is it roadworks?
Yeah.
And Keith Randalls is staying in a caravan by the roadworks because he's a night watchman. He was 49 years old. So Moore knocks on the door, and he stabs him in the stomach. And there's just... It's just such a random killing.
Yeah, he's on the A5, in case anyone wants to know.
For all you road fans out there.
She's gone A5, going to hit A55 straight through. No, so he's on the A5, so he's going through Anglesey, obviously away from his Holyhead one. And it's just completely, like, he just literally goes over, sees if there's anyone in the caravan, and then stabs him. And he says, the guy goes, "Why are you doing this?" Well, he's attacking him. And he answered, "For fun." How fucking... Oh, God, it's
Well, you know what? So
fucking...
he says, because that's his account afterwards.
Oh, yeah, I bet he didn't say anything like that.
No. And it's just a horrible...
Because he said to the police,
murder.
They said, "Why did you do it?" And he said, "Well, I got a certain enjoyment in killing." And you're like, oh, fuck off,
Did
mate.
you?
He's such a badass. Your home's a shithole, we've all seen the pictures.
Because this was such a brutal murder, it was obviously in the papers. And it would have been in the papers anyway, because I suppose there's not a very high crime rate in Anglesey. I mean, since you moved.
Fuck you.
What? That was
You know what our crime rate is? It peaks when fucking all the people from Liverpool and Manchester go down to their caravans. Suddenly we all get our quad bikes stolen.
Now he started to look in the paper for details of his crimes, which he'd been doing with the attacks, but he really
Clipping fan, was he, Rachel?
Well, he might have been, yeah, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with clippings.
It's lame.
You know when the Oasis documentary Supersonic was being made?
You've told us this.
I've told this. I'll never get over it. Anyway, I contacted them, but they weren't interested.
They didn't want your box
they
of
didn't,
shit.
No, they didn't need any of the clippings that I had. They were very interested in them, though. But they didn't need them.
It's absolutely mad. It's so indefensible. You sound like a hoarder.
I'm just a big fan. Just a fan, mate.
But, like, you don't do anything with them. They're sat in a box three floors up in your house.
I'm going to one day. I still look at them.
What, you still go in there and think...
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a quiet afternoon. Better get those clippings out.
Sometimes I do sort of go up and have a look through. Or sometimes I might think, oh, this thing in Oasis history, I wonder if I've got the clipping for that. And I usually have.
Oh, my gosh.
Look, it's a passion, mate.
There's this thing, right? So it's like, what you do is it's on your phone or computer, and there's a search engine called Google. And then if you remember anything about Oasis's history, you can just look for it.
Yeah, but this was at a time when we didn't have Google. This was at a time where I collected things.
You were making an Oasis-specific search machine. That's more useless than Bing.
One day, I'll show you these clippings, and you will come away.
If you show me your clippings, we're not having anything to do with each other. I don't want to see your clippings. This is a real line in the sand moment for me, Rachel.
I'll tell you what I will do. I mean, I'm sure the listeners are very keen to see some of these clippings.
Yeah.
So I'll take I'll take a picture on my phone of select few of the clippings, and I'll put them on the Twitter.
I literally think no one will give a shit, so yeah, go on,
All
crack on.
right, I'll do it. Anyway, so he's looking in the paper, probably making clippings for details of his crimes. So there's 3 murders by now, and there's an interesting bit because a girl who works in the video club, Regina Colwell, she starts to get suspicious. Or so she says after the event. She saw him cleaning his van very thoroughly a couple of times, and she thought that was a bit strange. And very odd things happens because Moore actually says to Regina, look what I found. And he's got loads of wallets and watches in his van. And she said, well, why? She used to clean at the cinema. And she said, well, where have you got those from? He said, I found them cleaning the cinema. And she was like, well, I've worked here for 10 years and I've never found one.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's his trophies. That's the sound of my wheelie bin being brought in.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes, one of the servants is bringing that in.
I hate... It's weird what people choose to keep as trophies, and I think wallet is something very personal, because it's got, like, not just, like, your bank up, but, like, photos of people, and, like, you can tell so much from receipts and stuff. Feels very personal.
And it's also unhelpful, because... to identify somebody.
Yeah, I just can't identify them. I don't imagine you're looking to give people a hand, though, for that kind of stuff.
True. Now, Richard Blackwell, who worked with Moore, said he started to get a bit disturbed because Moore started to talk to him, saying, I give out a few beatings. You know, I've battered a few fellas, and started to talk about all these violent things. And Richard actually thought about telling the police, and he was thinking about it, and then he decided against it. Because it's a difficult thing, isn't it? I mean...
Is it?
Because he thought he was bullshitting. I mean, we've all worked with a bullshitter.
Would you report someone who got bad vibes from?
It's a difficult one. I mean, I used to work with somebody, and I hope they don't listen to this, quite a few years ago now. He's probably in prison. He was... I won't say what he used to do for a job before I worked with him. But you can probably guess. He was a very strange man. Used to tell a lot of lies. Used to do really odd things like jump out at people. And I don't know, there's just something not right. Anyway, we all decided that this guy was strange. And we just couldn't, when we knew he was a liar. And I said one day, I'm telling you now, it wouldn't surprise me if when he opened his locker, Madeleine McCann fell out. I misjudged that joke massively. You know when you say something and you... Because we do stand-up, we're so used to just saying stuff.
Yeah, whatever occurs to you, yeah.
We don't ever think. And you spend so much time with comedians.
Yeah.
I was stared at in that staff room. There was people holding sandwiches up to their mouths, like just...
Well, at least Mike hadn't got there and eaten them all, eh?
And I was like, I've misjudged that one, haven't I?
I don't think I would.
That one.
There's a few people I've worked with where I've thought, you are not right, but I would never report them because you can't, like, report a hunch. I wonder if there's anyone listening here who's had bad vibes and it's turned out to be true. Let me know. Let us know, because that kind of stuff's really interesting, especially if you reported them. I've
said to, like, years ago in the past when I've worked with people, I've said to, like, a manager that I find somebody a bit odd, or...
Oh, really?
Yeah, or...
Get
like,
you grass.
No, like, I mean, I'm talking, like, very odd thing. Like, someone I used to work with, I overheard making an overtly sexual comment to someone that I worked with, and I thought that was distasteful.
Right. Yeah.
And the person that was on the receiving end obviously was a bit uncomfortable. So I whistleblowed on that, which
nice.
I think is
good.
You should do. I'd never grass anyone up for stealing or anything like that.
No, that's all right.
As like, till dipping, knock yourself out, mate. Go for it.
Skim a little off the top.
Speaking as a former till dipper myself.
Really? I've never done that.
No, like once I might nicked a $5.
One of our mates is one of, like, I don't think you've met him, but he was like a manager of a cinema and just was skimming off the top the whole time.
Ooh.
And then got sacked. I just didn't give a shit, and is now living in Canada with an amazing job. But, like, I've never even thought to do it.
Like, I did it, the only time I've done it, like, once or twice, I might have just... Or sometimes I'd sort of take the... take the money for, like, something shit that was, like, a $5.
Put it through or something.
But then not put it through and just keep the $5.
Oh, okay.
Like, very, very occasionally. If my mum's listening to this,
yeah,
I'm going to get the bollocking of my life.
Yeah, I
I
bet.
swear to God. I swear to God I am. I can look at my face. I'm worried now. Oh.
Let's
Anyway.
go back to murder.
Let's
Tony
go back to
Davis is 40 years old. It's December 95. It's only a month after the other one. This guy's a married father of 2. He's on Pensarn Beach, which is where this cottaging place is. Cottaging places. This public toilet. And he is stabbed to death.
Yeah.
At the beach.
He's married, Tony Davis. He tells his wife that he's going to see his mum. But I don't know if he did go to see his mum, and he stops off here.
It doesn't matter if he did or he didn't, because everyone will just assume that he's gay.
Yeah, that's very true. So he was found. Yeah, he was found stabbed to death on the beach, wasn't he? The next day,
Yeah.
and this is the time where the police go, "Oh, actually,
They finally make a link. Now there's like 4 dead guys. They realise there's a pattern, so they appeal to the gay community. I don't know how they did that, because being from North Wales, there isn't really a gay community. In Bangor, there's one gay bar called the 3 Crowns, and it's fucking hilarious, right? In fact, it's not hilarious. They set it on fire recently, like in the last year or so. A drag queen I know broke her leg jumping out the window. So the boys from my sixth form used to go down drinking on their lunch breaks. So they came back one day and they were fucking leathered. And we're like, where have you been? And it was all like rough lads. And they're like, we've just been down to this fucking bar in town, right? This pub. And everyone is so friendly. Just buying us drinks the whole time. And we're allowed to play the pool table for free. I was like, where are you? And they're like, it's called the 3 Crowns. And I was like, did it have a big rainbow flying outside? They're like, yeah, it's an absolutely mint place. I was like, mate, it's a gay bar. That is why they're all buying you drinks.
Did they go back?
No, I don't think they went back.
Oh. Now, someone did say, this person did approach police with some information. He said that they'd been around to this area, and a man in black had been reported on the beach wearing black leather, which is not beachwear. And this person gave directions to the police. This person had said that they'd been invited back to this man in black's house. They'd been lucky to get out of the house alive because they'd been attacked. And they gave directions to the police, and of course it took them to Darlington House. And one of the policemen on documentaries actually knew him. And as soon as he got there, he said, "Oh, I knew the house, and I knew more because he was always wearing black."
Oh shit!
Yep.
So they follow him, like they start to get their evidence together. They follow him. He's at a bar picking up a guy, and they arrest him. And then they get a warrant for Darlington House and search it, and it's really weird inside. So it's this big property, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ones that his parents had. He still lives there. Nazi memorabilia, sex whips everywhere, but Teddy's on the bed.
And chintz, like curtains and cushions and things.
It's really weird. Apparently it was like such a juxtaposition of, like rubber truncheon and also Care Bear.
It sounds like Tracy Emin would make, doesn't it?
Do you know what? I'd be less freaked out. I'd be more likely to fuck someone who had a Nazi flag above their bed than Teddy's on it.
I've got a real dislike of adults with cuddly toys.
Oh really?
Like I think it's all right to, someone buys you one. Oh, that's nice. Obviously, you don't know me. I'd rather have had something else. Or like your childhood teddies, because I've still got mine. That's nice, but I think if you go into someone's bedroom and there's loads of toys on the bed out of it, and they're over the age of 15, it's weird.
Yeah, with girls there's going to be some weird shit going on, and with guys it's really alarm bells as well, isn't it? Fucking weird. And a policeman's hat was in there as well.
I just thought of a story, and I don't know what reminded me of it. I don't know if I should tell it on this podcast.
Go on.
A friend of ours, because this is the kind of person that pops into my head when I think of a girl's bedroom with loads of toys on it. A friend of ours was having sexual relations with a woman, and the girl started going, oh, mister, please stop, mister. And he went, are you all right? And she's like, oh, no. And she went, oh, no, just carry on. She was going, oh, mister. And he went, I don't really understand what's going on. And she went, oh, mister, you're hurting Tilly. And he went, can I ask a question? How old is Tilly? And she went, oh, 18. And he went, right, that's fine. I'll just crack on.
Oh, God.
He said, but it was fucking weird. He said, he was just like, ugh.
What was Tilly?
I don't know.
Was it like a teddy that they sat on?
She was creating this character.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, oh,
I would, how the fuck, if I was a guy, I'd immediately be like, well, that's my boner gone. I suppose it maybe, depending, I don't know who this person is, so you can tell me afterwards, but depending on who it is, they might have just been like, brilliant, threesome.
So, where are we up to? Right, yeah, so, weird house.
Gets arrested. Confesses, including that murder of the poor guy who's in the forest.
I feel that he would have got on with Colin Island.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. Really similar.
I feel he would have really got on. So he actually loved, well, obviously he's a serial killer, he loved speaking about the murders. He was when he was asked about them and how he felt afterwards, he said, I was pleased, it was a job well done. He really is a piece of shit, isn't he?
Yeah.
He loved reading about himself in the trial. He wrote to that journalist, Gareth Hughes, again, to give him information on his background and photographs, of which, Gareth Hughes, did you put these in the bin, mate? Because we can't get any stuff that we need. Yeah.
Give some goss.
Then he decides to say that he had an accomplice, and it's the shittest accomplice.
This is during the trial. So basically, he gets found guilty on all counts. And the judge said he'd inflicted 20 years of terror on the community, between all these attacks and things. So during the trial, he suddenly said, "Oh, I wasn't doing this on my own. I actually had an accomplice." And they're like, "Right, okay, had an accomplice. Who was it? It was a gay lover I had, and I used to call him Jason." Because he used to like the Friday the 13th films and being violent. So it was Jason from the Friday the 13th. Is it Halloween? Friday the 13th?
No, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th franchise, who was my gay lover. And they were like,
okay.
Yeah, all right, you're still guilty then.
I think people might have mentioned a man in black and a guy wearing a hockey mask.
No.
Walking along the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
I think people might have picked up on that.
Yeah, 31st of October is about the only day you're going to get away with that.
So he gives a really shit twist to his boring story. And they search the house, obviously, and he's loving the attention as well. He's playing up to the crowds at his trial. There's an instant where he didn't want most people, if they come in from the prison's court, they want the blanket over them so they can't a pitch taken. He loved it, apparently.
Yeah, he was like, no. And looking around and giving them a smile
looking
and
at
stuff.
Everyone. And holding up his handcuffs like...
Oh, yeah, like he was... Yeah, like when you sort of like grab your hands together and shake them like you've won something. He was doing that. What an absolute dick.
Arsehole.
Yeah.
So he gets sent to prison, obviously. Wakefield prison. Becomes mates with Harold Shipman.
Oh, the company they keep.
Oh, I bet they had some great chats.
I bet Shipman was really arrogant. He's like, how many you did 4? Okay, all right, babes. And then obviously Shipman took his own life. That's how boring he was. Now, Gareth Hughes as well, the journalist, is inundated with letters because he decides to appeal. He takes civil action against the police, doesn't he? Yeah.
And on the 3rd of March 2011, he also takes his imprisonment. He discusses it with the European Human Rights Court.
Yeah, because he appealed it and it went to the High Court in June of 2008 and they said, no, you're going to get life. It's life in prison you're going to get. So he appeals, he takes it to the High Court to the European Court of Human Rights in March 2011 and then...
January 2012, it was failed and he's been told he's going to be in prison forever. If you look at my notes here, I've just written ha ha ha.
No, yeah, you have, yeah.
So in 1999, though, he does win at £13,000 off his neighbours, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because what they're doing, have you got the names, have you?
Les Bradshaw and Pauline Pruthach.
They're selling all his stuff on a car boot sale, which I absolutely love, because all I can imagine is like a car boot with like a Nazi flag and a gimp suit. How are you going to explain?
You buy one, you get one free, moving fast. But, I mean, he tried to sue the police the year after that, July 2000. He lost a court case suing for damages of £160,000 to the Northwell Police because he said that once he was arrested, they didn't protect the house enough and his items and his property.
Well, I've got news for you, mate. You're not going to need those items anymore because you're in prison forever. So fucking suck it up and get on with it.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. I wonder what they do with, like, in that case. Like, what happens with that house?
I often think that. Like, so if you're arrested, for example, say you had lived on your own and you got arrested and you were in prison then and you never went home. Yeah, what happens?
Don't know, because he's got no family, has he?
No.
Well, there we go. That's a good question. I bet there's someone who knows that kind of
Someone's got to know. Maybe it just gets sold off or given to charity.
No, it won't be given to charity. They might sell
Well,
it.
I don't know what charity you're going to give a lot of Nazi memorabilia to. That's, yeah, that's not going to...
Probably one of those animal charity ones. They'll take fucking anything. Paws, something like that. Cats Protection League. They're always the best charity
Every little
shops.
helps.
So that is him. That's Peter
him.
Moore. We just did a quick one, basically. Because we, before we start our mammoth research for Eileen Wernos, which is already the most depressing thing in the world.
Yep.
So thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, guys.
We do.
And thank you for everyone who came. We're going to put out a little video about this, but thank you so much to everyone who came to the tour. You were amazing and brilliant. And thank you for buying our stuff as well. We've sold out of the black tote bags. I've got to order some more. So yeah, it's really nice that you like what we do and you want to... It just helps support us, so thank you very much. We've got a Patreon if you want to whack whatever.
And thanks to everyone that's donated to that. That's great.
Yeah, it's really nice. It really helps us out. And like the easier it gets for us, it means that the more time we can put into stuff like that, which is why we're trying to put out more episodes. So you guys are fucking amazing. You're a right laugh on Twitter. You're great on Facebook. Yep. Let's keep chatting and thank you.
And come to see us in Edinburgh because we're doing our own shows as well, aren't we?
Yeah, they're pretty good for that, I reckon.
Yeah, we'll tweet about them.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll get mentioned.
But thanks for listening.
Again. Thank you so much. So that was the Man in Black, Peter Moore.